they grade out very high in those 5 areas.
When you're a head coach, you can recruit kids that have those traits of toughness, but when you take over a roster like Gillespie has here at Kentucky, how difficult is it to maybe to get kids to play tough that just don't have it in them?
Well, there's degrees of toughness. I think Tubby Smith stood for toughness. Billy Gillespie maybe stands for it in maybe a little different areas. But think about this, Rick Pitino, his first year at Kentucky, started off 5-5, but from that first year on, he spun it into a national championship. But Rick Pitino inherited guys like Sean Woods and Darren Feldhaus, John Pelfrey, Richie Farmer, kids that grasp exactly what the coach wants done. Those 4 guys, by the way, their jerseys hanging in the rafters right now.
Good point. Knocked away there by Curry, but San Diego comes out with it. And that Pitino squad, 15-15 in his first year as head coach. 16-13 here, San Diego in front as we approach the 10-minute mark. Reno, Lexington, Kentucky. San Diego 6-8 on the season. Wildcats 5-5.
And because San Diego has not turned this ball over, they're able to run their offense and knock down looks over the top of that Kentucky defense. They're still not driving the ball for their points, but they're spotting up and knocking down shots over the top.
Third 3 this season for Tremaine Johnson. Makes it a 6-point game.
You talk about packing around somebody. That team in dark blue is really packing the lane around Patrick Patterson, making someone else for Kentucky knock down shots.
Fouls called on Kentucky. Fouls called on San Diego. Excuse me, fouls on Tremaine Johnson, his first. Third. Short jumper for Patterson.
Lou, that's why Patrick Patterson has to show the ability to step out and do it. This won't be the only game that Patrick Patterson will have surround sound defense on him. He will have a jersey in front and a jersey behind. Can he step out and knock those shots down as the season goes on?
Brandon Johnson to the bucket, too hard off the glass. Palmeiras fighting for it down low. The foul's called on Jasper, who ran down Jackson. Team 5th. Second on Jasper.
Jasper
takes a seat.
We can probably only play in 3 or 4 minute spurts at the most right now, especially with how hard he's being asked to play. He got a little gas this morning from that 9 o'clock to 10:15 walkthrough / shoot-down / practice. His conditioning will still have to catch up with his knee.
Foul on Bradley there. And Johnson to the line will shoot 1 and 1. How long do you think it'll take Jasper before he feels comfortable on the floor, not only win-wise, physically, but also where he feels comfortable playing with his teammates?
You know, just watching him this morning in the last 3 minutes, I think he's comfortable on the floor because he's a guy that has the ball in his hand, so he doesn't have to rely on his teammates to get him into his comfort zone. He's comfortable bringing that ball up the floor as the point guard. I think what you question about Derek Jasper is how will his knee respond to playing full speed in a game situation. Derek Jasper back today, does that mean that he's back for the rest of the season every game? That's yet to be determined.
Well, some guys that have gone through the surgery that he went through have come back and played well. Amari Stoudemire for the Phoenix Suns, and other guys like Terrell Brandon and Penny Hardaway just never were the same players. Patterson gets the down low off the blood.
How about that soft pause, because he had a fastball fired at him from about 8 feet away.
Knocked away there. Johnson tracks it down. Pushes it. That's Tremaine Johnson. Tremaine Johnson wearing 11. Brandon Johnson wearing 1.
The guy with the ball has the best ability to go by his defender and get in the lane and create. So far, Kentucky has kept him out of the blue part of the floor. Here he goes.
Finds the open Tremaine Johnson. His three-pointer doesn't go. Pulled down by Lewis. Johnson this time with a bucket. Got caught up in the air and just lost it.
Nice trail.
Patterson all alone. Shot didn't go, and then he's called for the foul. It's his first. A team foul. So we'll shoot free throws. Patrick Patterson. One of only 2 players in the SEC's top 10 in scoring and rebounding. Here comes Jasper back and Bradley to take a seat.
Lou, talking about guys coming back from injuries that can have a major impact on their club. Derek Jasper is one of them, in my opinion. But there's a couple of key losses to injuries right now on December 29th that I think will really affect the month of March. One of those, Pitt losing Mike Cook. You can't lose an experienced guard, a veteran kid that has embraced toughness and how they play, and that's not going to affect Pitt down the long run. I know that it will. And the loss to Bobby Fraser at North Carolina, not a starter, but he's a guy that could come in for Roy Williams and knock down an open three. A veteran kid, a tough defender, could play the combo spot. Mike Cook at Pitt and Bobby Fraser at North Carolina, in my estimation, two key losses to injuries that we'll see show up in March, or at least could.
Both those kids were tough in high school as well. Cook in Philadelphia, and Fraser actually went to high school at Brother Rice in Chicago, not far from where I grew up. So
and you're tough. You've
tough. You better be careful.
You've shown me some toughness working with you over the years.
Working alongside you, you better be tough.
You don't let one mistake become two, because I make a mistake and you clean it up. So see, that's a sign of toughness.
There are other guys on the crew that let all kinds of mistakes happen, right?
Yeah.
Brown shot doesn't go. Harris pulls down the miss.
Defensively, Kentucky has been okay in this ball game. Offensively, they are laboring.
And Crawford's fouled. We'll talk about it after a timeout. 23-17, San Diego in front.
Starting after this one, important ball games. Resume wins at stake. Defining moments for clubs, maybe a look back on that was the win that really got us kick-started heading into conference play as we put a bow on the non-conference season pretty much this week again. Very important ball games, and I'm anxious to watch Arizona at Memphis. I think Arizona will be a more difficult test than what Georgetown was last week because of this. Bayless and Buttinger can break off the offense and go get a basket. Georgetown didn't have that ability against Memphis. That will be a tough test tonight for the Memphis Tigers.
Memphis with two more non-conference games before they get into their Conference USA schedule, Jimmy. They've got Siena and Pepperdine. Shot clock, by the way, down to 6. Johnson looking for room. Shot clock down to 2. Throws it up. Almost goes in from three-point range, in and out, and Curry pulls down the miss. In conference games the last 2 years, Memphis 16-0 last season. Right. They lost only one game 2 years ago. If they win tonight, are they the best bet at maybe going undefeated through the regular season?
Well, with my Bearcats from Sam Houston State getting knocked off last night out in San Diego State, that was my first choice, and now it's going to fall on Memphis. They've had some key non-conference wins. Interesting. Couple of them on neutral floors, and then at home against Georgetown are the ones that stand out. But you look at Memphis, they've gotten better. Conference USA has also gotten better, but I think the separation is still there between the best the Conference USA has to throw at Memphis. Right now, I think that's Houston and UAB. UAB maybe has the best chance to knock them off because they play them home and home this year. But Memphis, when Joey Dorsey comes to play like Ben Wallace or Dennis Rodman, I think they're the best team in college basketball.
Foul there on Johnson. Speaking of UAB and Houston, Kentucky will tell you how good UAB and Houston are, losing to both those teams. And you saw UAB beat this Kentucky team not far from here at Freedom Hall not long ago. What, about a week, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, they just didn't have that defender that could go in and lock down someone with some length like a Derek Jasper or a Jody Meeks could have provided. Kentucky just can't score in this ball game, something they've struggled with all season long.
25 points, their fewest points at halftime so far this season. They've got 17 right now with 6:06 left to play here in the first half, and Joe Crawford to the free throw line.
Crawford at the line, 4-2.
Second on the team, 8th in the SEC in scoring at 17 points a game. Crawford will shoot 2.
Talked about Bill Greer being the top assistant for Mark Few at Gonzaga the last 8 years. Also on that label for Bill Greer was the defensive coordinator at Gonzaga, that team that's known for their offense over that time period, also at times played really good defense. So defensively, Bill Greer has put his stamp on San Diego so far in this ball game, changing up the looks, keeping Kentucky out of a comfort zone in the half court. You don't see a lot of guys labeled as offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators in basketball, something Mark Few has used at Gonzaga, and Bill Greer was one of them.
Kentucky with just 7 field goals here in the first half, 37% from the floor. And they trail by 5:45 left to play here in the first half. Thought it's a 5-second call, and they got it.
All triggered by the on-ball pressure of Derek Jasper at 6'6", and he's long and he's tough. and he'll climb up into your jersey. Exactly what Billy Gillespie wants.
And speaking of defense, San Diego's gone 4 minutes without a field goal. Stevenson looks for him, got his defender in the air, chose not to take the shot. And Jasper with it. Down low. Patterson off the glass, muscles it up and in.
That's the pass that Kentucky could not make prior to this ball game. Jasper up top. Patterson is an angle scorer, and to make an angle pass like that, you have to be a very tough point guard up top. Jasper is that.
Patterson with 8 points, his 7th shot in this game.
In San Diego, Lou, they cannot do anything off the bounce, relying on their jump shots, and so far they continue to fall. That's why they have the lead.
Rob Jones, his first 3 of the season. Makes it a 26-20 game.
Kentucky is not complex on offense. Just a high-low set. There's the high guy shooting.
Did he call that?
No, he did not call that.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Still counts for 2. Patterson has 10. Johnson to the other end, had it rejected by Patterson. Wow. Jasper to Harris, and Harris off the glass.
Triggered by the block by Patrick Patterson and the aggressive push of the basketball by Derek Jasper. Again, a play that Kentucky has not made all season long with Jasper on the bench.
26-24, timeout San Diego. And it all was triggered by the block by the freshman, Patterson.
Great job by Patterson to keep his body off the offensive guy, and then Jasper takes it 92 feet from rim to rim, gets all the way to the rim, dishes it off for an easy 2 points. Kentucky has not had a lot of easy 2 points described from their offense so far this season.
And Patterson right now with 10 points, 8 shots he's taken in the game at the top of the broadcast. I told you that Coach Gillespie would like to get him 16 to 20 shots a game. He's averaging right now 11 shots a contest. Most of his shots, Jimmy, so far here in the first half have come with him fronting the bucket.
Well, and his touches will increase with Jasper on the floor. The more minutes Derek Jasper plays, the more touches and more shots Patrick Patterson will get.
Patrick Patterson played at Huntington High School in West Virginia alongside a guy named Mayo, O.J. Mayo. No wonder they won 3 straight state championships.
Just can't do anything off the bounce, San Diego, in this ball game. Again, relying on jump shots. As long as they keep hitting those jump shots, they're going to hang in this ball game and have a chance to pull off an upset. If those jump shots stop falling, San Diego's going to have an answer for it. So far, I haven't seen it.
Ginty with his 3rd 3 here in the first half. Jasper puts it on the floor, defended by Tremaine Johnson.
It's just a high-low 3 around 2. Not great complexity in what they're doing, just making simple plays on the offensive end.
Walk off with the dribble inside the line. Pomer throws it up and in.
Now that's the first answer that I've seen that San Diego has to go to if those 3-point shots don't fall.
Pomer with just his first shot in this game. I watched some film of Pomer and I asked the question to the San Diego folks, why doesn't he get the ball more down low? Down low, that's Stevenson lays it up and in. The foul on Ginty, and Stevenson will go to the line.
They've played, Texas has to still be considered a national surprise.
Stevenson missed the free throw, but Kentucky, thanks to the offensive rebound, keeps it.
8 unbeatens in college basketball. The SEC has 2 of them in Vanderbilt and Ole Miss. The ACC has 2 of them as well with Carolina and Miami. And there's my disappointment. Southern Illinois loses again last night. Oregon, how they've struggled on the road. Louisville with preseason hopes of a Final Four run and national preseason ranking in the top 6, not even in the top 25 right now. I know they've had some injuries and some problems with chemistry, but they still have to be disappointed, Louisville does, of where they are on December 29th. The important thing is, don't be disappointed where you are on March 29th. That would be the message.
Tremaine Johnson's jumper doesn't go, and Patterson pulls down the miss. Speaking of hopes, there's still plenty of hope here in Lexington that this team at 5-5 will turn things around. You talked about the SEC. Down year for the SEC in your opinion?
you go. That's what Crawford can do. I'm going to answer your question. Is Crawford is so good at coming off of screens, catching and shooting the basketball, taking the decision-making out of the game for him. Yes, the SEC has come backwards from where they were the last 2 years because they were the best conference in college basketball, and the numbers back it up. Their winning percentage in the NCAA tournament, their number of bids, and producing back-to-back national champions, the SEC has been the strongest basketball league in the country. They've come back from the last 2 years, but still, you've got 3 teams that are more than capable of getting to that Sweet 16 this year from what I've seen so far in Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee.
I know Vanderbilt's gotten off to a terrific start. Jasper takes the 3, but the front iron doesn't go, and Pomer the rebound. Tennessee, ranked 12th in the country right now. Where does Kentucky fit in the SEC?
It's too early to tell because they could, in my estimation, be the 4th best team right now in the SEC behind those 3 we talked about, or they could slide down to that 8th or 9th spot. The depth in the SEC this year, it's too close to call, and we're going to have a lot to figure out starting in January in this league.
Jackson shot doesn't go. A lot also will be told when Jasper sees some time on the floor, 3-4 games, and Joe Meeks comes back as well. Kentucky, first 5:30, 1 for 8 from the floor and 4 turnovers. Ever since, 12 of 18 and just 2 turnovers. And there is a giveaway for the Wildcats. Johnson to the other end. And Billy Gillespie wants a quick timeout with 54.8 seconds left to play here in the first half. 33-31, San Diego in front of Kentucky. Wildcats have turned it around offensively here in the latter moments of the first half. Why?
Well, they're very much a work in progress. You saw their practice this morning. It wasn't your normal walkthrough. I mean, Billy Gillespie is really teaching toughness and how he wants to play, and it's something that's not easily grasped or quickly grasped, for that matter. But again, you're talking about a club, Derek Jasper and Jody Meeks. I think their 2nd and 3rd best player overall have not played together yet for Kentucky, so it's still a work in progress. I think they're getting better even as we watch them today with Jasper's presence on the floor. Are they going to win the SEC? I think it's a long shot, but they are not a bad basketball team like some people have labeled them. The other you see the Rumpelstiltskin graphic of the week. If you've been asleep, you know Kentucky has struggled out of the gate. They lost to Gardner-Webb, and they've had a 4-game losing streak. And that bottom one right there, 10 different starting lineups.
That says it all, doesn't it?
That says it all right there. How many teams have that graphic around them right now on December the 29th? That's about all you need to know about Kentucky.
Yeah, Billy Gillespie just looking for the right combination to put on the floor, and not just for this season, but for seasons to come.
This is the same Billy Gillespie that was 3-time Coach of the Year in the Big 12, 3-time National Finalist Coach of the Year. And I think if you're going to beat Kentucky, you better get on him right now because he is a beast on the recruiting trail, and he is not going to change his approach to basketball.
Well, 7-21 before he got to Texas A&M, 21-10 in year 1 with the Aggie program. His first year at UTEP, Miners were 6-24. His 2nd season, 24-8. How's that for the quick fixer-upper? We're looking for him to turn things around here at Kentucky. Not that 22-12 a year ago is so bad. They're used to national championships. They're used to going to the Final Four here in Lexington, Kentucky. They haven't been to the Final Four in 9 years, and they want to get back. Patterson, 11 points so far. Plenty of touches as well here in the first. 19-25. Curry comes back. Patterson takes a seat.
You know what, Lou? You look up, and with all that we've just talked about, there's Bill Greer, his first year as a head coach, a longtime assistant, waited to get an opportunity, and he is a shot made away from having the lead on Kentucky in Rupp Arena. Call it not a normal Kentucky team, what have you. For San Diego to have a chance to have the lead at the half says a lot about Bill Greer and the future for the Toreros.
In all 5 of their wins, Jimmy Doug, so far this season, they have led at halftime.
This could be an important basket then, is what you're trying to tell me.
Yes, sir.
If I'm USD, I take the very last shot.
Jermaine Johnson looking for room. Pomer with it, throws it up, and he'll go to the line. So Pomer, right place, right time, as Jermaine Johnson lost control of it going to the bucket. And Palmer will shoot 2 free throws with 3.7 seconds left to play here in the first half.
So I tell you what, when you're San Diego, think about it. You're USD. You come in here with a 6-8 record. First time for anyone for USD to be in Rupp Arena. I was with them last night. For them to have the lead at the half is huge. Bill Greer can go in there and look his kids in the eye in the locker room and say, okay, we've experienced Rupp Arena. We're up 1, we're up 2 points. So this is a very important 3.7 seconds for San Diego. Their mentality, what they carry into the locker room.
Believing, so important.
Certainly.
When you're a team like San Diego. Last year they were 18-14, 6-8, tied for 5th in the West Coast Conference. 6-8 so far this year. They snapped a 3-game skid with a solid 69-54 win over Texas San Antonio in their last game.
All right, now can they hold on to that lead with 3.7 to go?
35-33. Harris.
We saw this same tip play at Louisville the other day.
Ace 3. Doesn't go.